Good afternoon, and welcome to K2's Road to Excellence Part 1 in Receipt Bank. This is Alan Salmon, and I want to start out by welcoming all of you and wishing all of you a Happy New Year. A bit of admin before I turn this over to my partner, Ward Blatch. As usual, Marilyn Benninger is backing us up today. She is your go-to person for technical issues and for questions. Your microphones are muted for obvious reasons. Feel free to take notes, but be aware that within 10 days of today, Marilyn is going to send you out a package. In that package will be the recording, my Ward's link to his material, and the answers to all of the questions. And speaking of questions, as I said, you ask them through the chat window, and at the end of the seminar, Marilyn will send all the questions to Ward and Damien. They will respond, and in your package, you will get the answers to all of the questions. Now to a key part of this webinar. If you're new to the webinar, you will be entitled to one verifiable CPD if you do the following. 4 times this afternoon, Ward and then Damien will put up a polling question, usually 4 choices, and the answer doesn't matter. What matters is that you select one of the answers and click on Submit, because that records you as attending. And if you're recorded as responding to 3 of the 4 polling questions, you will get 1 verifiable CPD. If you don't, it'll be 1 non-verifiable. And now to the topic at hand, and that's Ward Blatch's famous tech update. Ward is a partner in K2E Canada and very knowledgeable about technology when it comes to accounting. So without further ado, Marilyn, let's listen to Ward.
Good day, everybody, and Happy New Year. This is Ward Blatch. Hope you all had a great holiday. Up on the screen, you should see now K2's Road to Excellence Tech Update, January 10th, 2019. This presentation is available for you to download right now at the website shown, R2E, that's Road to Excellence techupdate.k2e.ca. All of the slides that have notes, you'll have full access to those notes. There's a couple of videos embedded in here that we won't be doing today, but they will work perfectly well for you to review at your leisure. So we will be sending that link again when we send out the rest of the information about 10 days from now. Okay, so first of all, this is a tough time to be doing a presentation on Tech Update because the Consumer Electronics Show is not over yet. We've had lots of great announcements already this week. It started on January 8th and it runs until tomorrow. I just thought some interesting stats there to give you an idea of how many people are actually interested in tech. 182,000 attendees and over 4,000 exhibitors, and another 1,000 speakers. So an interesting gathering. If you've never gone down, it's quite fun, but wear good shoes because there's lots of walking around to do with the over 4,000 exhibitors available. I'd like to start off with the very first big announcement. IBM now has quantum computers available for you to rent cycles on it. That's a picture of one that you see on the screen there. They are encased in a glass housing to allow them to keep the temperatures correct, because the components that make up a quantum computer are extremely sensitive and they must be kept at specific temperature range. So it's an interesting little cube. They actually have a building with a bunch of cubes in it, and the system is called the Q System 1. The first thing that they're bringing out, which will be available in the very near future, is for weather forecasting, where they're going to take millions of sensors around the world and be able to forecast down to an area the size of 3 square kilometers. Already things like the Weather Network and other companies have already signed up to take advantage of this fabulous new processing. Now, I know you're wondering, you've heard quantum computing's a ways away, and it is for full-time commercial use. But to give you an idea of how much faster it is, yeah, that number there is 28 sextillion. That's how long it takes in years to break our current cryptography that we use. And how long it'll take when quantum computing is finished? 100 seconds. Now, I don't know what 28 sextillion looks like. In fact, I didn't even know what it was. I had to look up. I've never seen a number that big. All I know is it's way past the point where I'm going to be dead. Compare that to 100 seconds. I can imagine that. In fact, we could sit here for 100 seconds in silence. It would drive you all crazy. And we would be able to see exactly what it was. 100 seconds to 28 sextillion years. The processing power is going to change the world, and hopefully it'll change it for better. For example, better weather predictions. Also, in long term, we should see a lot of huge data sets being able to be processed at fast rates that solve problems that we have today. Analysis of DNA, for example, to help us improve humans' life going forward. So it is an exciting time we're living in. I know for some of you, you may have remembered when you started work, as I did, we used to use at the accounting firm something crazy. It was called paper and a pencil. And so to just see what has changed over the years that since I got into public practice, it's pretty amazing. And this is just going to make those changes seem like nothing with the speed and improvement in performance. We're still talking 6 to 10 years out for quantum computing. But something that's not 6 to 10 years out, but out a year, maybe 2, is 5G. So I listened to a presentation put on by Hans Vestberg. He is the CEO of Verizon, talking about their rollout of 5G. And what I thought was fascinating was he talked about the 8 features of 5G that make it great, and you can read those. But he talked about how it was the foundation for the next industrial revolution. If you look at the past 3 that we've had, steam engine was a big part of the first one, electricity the second one, digitization was the third, and he feels ubiquitous connectivity is the 4th cornerstone for our next revolution. And it is pretty exciting stuff. If you check out the speed there of 5G, 10 gigabits per second. Now, your office wired network is probably 1. So it's a huge jump. And the ability of it to use data and the volume, 10 terabytes a second in a square kilometer. So huge improvements here. And this really is ushering in the concept of an always connected computing world that we'll live in. And so that means that using in-house storage for servers, data, etc., will no longer make any sense. You'll be able to have it so much quicker through cloud providers. The other thing that was interesting at CES this year is this flexible technology. Now, some of this was talked about last year at the show, but they're saying that this year we're actually going to see product. So the first one there on the left, that is a flexible keyboard that rolls up into that little silver cylinder the gentleman is holding in their left hand. And when you need to use it, you just pull it out, lie it down on a smooth, hard surface, and now you have a portable keyboard that you can easily slip into your pocket. Flexible keyboards. We've seen them before. This is a big jump up from where they were previously. And the image on the right, that's a phone with a bendable screen. This means that we can take a phone today and effectively have it double the screen size by unfolding it. So the concept of carrying a phone and a tablet, I mean, it's really decreased a lot because phones have gotten to a reasonable size screen. But this means that that phone screen could be perhaps double the size it currently is now with a device that has folded the same dimensions as your current phone. It would be a slight bit thicker, but it is an exciting concept. And to prove just how viable this flexible screen technology is, look at this new LG signature. This is TV actually rolls up into its soundbar base. So the images you see there are the screen fully deployed, partial deployed. I'm starting on the right, going to the left counterclockwise, partial deployed. A shot of how wide the screen is, how thick it is, is in the middle there. And the concept here is when you don't need the screen, it simply rolls away into the base, which is a full sound bar. When you do need the screen, you can extend it up to the amount that you need. So for example, if you were just wanting to watch a sports ticker go by, you could roll it up sufficient to show you that ticker. Or perhaps you're listening to your favorite podcast or movie or a radio station or music. You can have it displaying that kind of information on the screen and not have the full thing extended. Picture this in your boardrooms. Beautiful, beautiful. They're saying that these will be for sale this half of 2019. So we'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately, currently do not have prices. Now, I know you're thinking, well, I saw those last year and you said the same thing. Well, this year they're actually saying that it is going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. If we look at the other impressive component, Bell helicopters, with their air taxi. Yes, they're going to start flight testing this in 2020. Yeah, that's only a year away. And I know in past I've talked about self-driving vehicles. Well, those are old now. Now we've moved into self-driving air taxis to get rid of that road congestion that we see on the streets of Canada. So it is a nice little change there. I'm looking forward to my first flight in one. I don't know about you, but it looks very exciting. Okay, so that's CES. They introduced a bunch of new computers. I'll have a shot of one or two of those perhaps in a little bit here. Intel did talk about a new CPU. Definitely we'll be talking about that more in a few minutes. Up next, emerging technologies, and I really wanted to just spend a minute here about blockchain. A lot of people confuse the concept of blockchain and cryptocurrency. To be clear, blockchain is a database which you enter in a transaction and third party verifies it. So this could mean that, for example, the posting of a transaction into the system, for example, a purchase order being accepted by the vendor would acknowledge the transaction. The delivery by the delivery company of the product and you accepting it would be confirmation of the order being completed, and a payment would be automatically processed by the bank. Because all the components are here being confirmed by third parties, it means that the entire transaction is audited as it is being processed. Big change for us in accounting, big change for auditors. It does mean that accounting is significantly going to change. Where are we at this? Still very early stages, but it is a fascinating technology. Blockchain. Just remember, it's just a database. So what could we use this database for? Well, these are 3 vendors that provide decentralized storage using your free hard drive space on your computers. So you get paid for them to use your hard drive space, and you get to back up your stuff on other people's hard drives. Your files are distributed, encrypted, of course, and it's all kept track of in a blockchain, a decentralized database that everybody can see what's going on. So very interesting, very successful if you've been looking at ways to get cloud storage at an inexpensive rate. Check out those 3 vendors. I do have a video that talks about cryptocurrency. It's a fun little comedic skit. It only takes a few minutes, but what I'm not going to do it today. We just don't have time. I do encourage you, when you go to the website, to view the video yourself. The lady on the right, everything she says about cryptocurrency is correct. She just does it very quickly, and it is a fun little thing to watch. Now, if you're wondering, how big is cryptocurrency? These are market capitalizations as of yesterday. And you can see Bitcoin is at, yeah, you got that right. Count them all up, $70 billion. Ethereum, 15. XRP, 15. Bitcoin Cash, 2.8. EOS, 2.5. That's the top 7. I do have the link to coinmarketcap.com in the slide notes, and it does give you the top 100 cryptocurrencies. Yeah, there's a lot of them, and it's interesting to see just how quickly they come online. Sometimes they don't last that long. And just for fun, do you notice that Bitcoin value at 4,000? That's US dollars, by the way. But that's a big drop, isn't it? December 2017, we were over 20,000. So it is an extremely volatile currency. All of them are. And listen, probably the biggest traders in that are those guys grabbing your, securing your data with ransomware, asking you to pay them. Okay, let's talk a little bit about hardware. I have a list of must-haves and like-to-haves. This is for my next PC. The one I wanted to point out in particular on this list is pen enabled. I am shocked at how much I'm using my pen. And it really just started in the last year because I changed my office configuration. I now use a Surface Pro as my primary computer with a docking station. And because I have the Pro out and I'm using it all the time, every day, I'm using the pen every day as well. I use it to take notes, to mark up documents, to edit documents. Really a very valuable tool. And my partner has just started to use it as well and has found it extremely useful. So if you're looking for the next computer, I have it on my must-have list. You might not, but do consider it. It is, I find, a very useful tool, especially for offices that have just decided to go paperless. It really makes that transition much easier. On the like-to-have side, there is one that we'll talk about in a minute here, and that's the hard drive technology of NVMe. They are much faster, and if you can afford the extra $100 to $200 for a drive that is NVMe, it is suggested. Built-in cellular data, well, that ties in very nicely with what's happening in regards to 5G. If we are going to see that, it'd be great to have that built into your computer. Okay, you're going to go out and buy a computer. What the blazes should it look like? Well, I have 4 examples here of different configurations that we have today. The one on the top left is an all-in-one PC, and it's a nice little machine, brand new, just brought out, introduced at CES actually from Lenovo. It's called a Yoga, and it actually will allow that screen to flatten down. Why? To make it easier for you to write on. at your desk. And the little plate that the mouse is sitting on, that's actually a wireless charging plate. So you can place your wireless charging enabled devices such as your phone and have it charge while it's sitting there on your desk. Right beside that is a desktop computer from HP. It's called the Slice. Nice thing about it is it's also a wireless charging on the top. Nice size, fits on the desk really nice. It's actually gorgeous looking. Below that is the Surface Hub coming out this year. We should see it fairly soon. It's a 55-inch display, and what's nice about it is it supports up to 10 people logging into the device and 10 pens simultaneously or 100 fingers simultaneously on the device. Ideal for boardrooms, and the reason I use that particular image is because there is a card available to make it easy to take it from room to room. Or perhaps you do want a laptop. There's a shot of the Yoga, the new Lenovo Yoga. As you can see, the screen spins around to give you different configurations on the laptop. Yes, it is a touch screen, and yes, it does support pen. Nice little configuration. So decide what is from the must-have and like-to-have that you need to have. That'll really narrow down that list, and then decide on the form factor that makes sense for you. If possible, I am going to be suggesting that you wait until the fall of 2019, because that's when we're going to see the Intel Ice Lake. That's the next processor they're bringing out, just introduced a couple of days ago at CES. It's 10 nanometer, and that's giving us about a 2-hour battery life improvement over previous generation Intel processors. It also has AI acceleration built into the chip, as well as a much improved graphics engine. Also, fully integrated Thunderbolt 3, and that's technology that's part of the USB-C to give it very fast transfer rates. And combining it all together with what they're calling Project Athena, this is just an industry specification that Intel is promoting that has an integrated Wi-Fi and 5G and AI as part of the package. Think of it as the next standard. Like previous, we called it an Ultrabook. Now we're going to have Project Athena. So those are likely going to be the last half of 2019 and probably coming in the October last quarter timeframe. So if you can wait until those are available, that improved battery life and that 5G built in is very attractive. Now, I have mentioned USB-C briefly. I just want to make sure that it's clear to everybody. It is a single cable, a single port that allows for the transfer of power, so you charge your device with it, the flow of data, and video. And data would include audio. So a single connector. I really feel it's becoming a standard because it's on the new iPads. And that means Apple has dropped their FireWire configuration or the Lightning port and have moved to this. Be interesting to see if they do the same with their phones that we should see in September. This single cable means that I can have a docking station from a wide variety of vendors, and that single cable plugged in, that USB-C cable plugged into my laptop, will do everything. It'll charge the laptop. It'll allow me to have external monitors, external keyboard, mouse, printers, scanners, network connection, speakers, mics, all off of a single connection. And the dock could be used in a wide variety with a wide variety of machines because it's going to be USB-C. This sample product I have here is from a company called Plugable, and they have a wide variety of docking stations. This is a nice little small one that they have, and made a nice little picture there. So it is, I've gone to docking stations finally, and it is a much easier setup. Now, I talked about solid state drives as a must have, and then I mentioned in my like to have NVMe. This chart shows you the speed difference between a standard solid state drive and the speed of the NVMe drives. Yes, that's 7 times faster. Huge improvement in performance there. So something that I think you should be looking at. At CES, they've launched a new screen. This is from Samsung. They call it the Space Monitor, and it's very slick how it can quickly change and give you different options. And look how little desktop space it takes up. Beautiful device. Not available for pre-order in Canada, but we can pre-order them from the US Amazon. So price in US dollars was about $450. Beautiful little machine there. Make sure you buy business grade, just to give it the proper life expectancy. I have a short list here on what you should look at for a new phone. I do think that biometric login at this point makes a lot of sense, whether it's finger or face login, and wireless charging. And 5G, probably here in Canada, we won't see phones until 2020. So I'm not sure where you are in your phone upgrade cycle, but it will be something that we need to pay attention to going forward. If you look at phones themselves, these are 3 phones, the iPhone XRS, the Galaxy S9, the Google Pixel 3, they're all beautiful phones. They all have something very, very common, and that is they're all $1,000. I don't know about you, but phones are getting very expensive. And with Samsung and Apple both talking about up to a 10% drop in sales, obviously everybody else is feeling the same thing. Phones have gotten to the point now where there's not a lot of reason to upgrade year over year, and at $1,000 it makes sense to put it off. Okay, software. Before I do software, let's do the first polling question. And my question is quite simple. When updates to technology are discussed in your office, what's your first thought? And I know for a lot of people, they just don't want to do anything at all, and they don't like the concept. Now, I'm suspecting this group will be a slightly different opinion set, but I know for myself, I don't like change either. So we're just waiting for the poll to finish up here. We're at 70% of vote. I'm just going to leave it for a couple more seconds. I will just say that I made a change of my phone from a Windows phone to an iPhone a year ago. And I must say, I kept putting it off because I said, why update? But now that I've got a device that has apps available to it, it is a significant improvement in overall operations, and something I do suggest you do at least evaluate without just writing it off, without giving it a proper testing. Okay, so we're just about at 90% voting here. I'm going to close the poll now. And I'm going to share the results. And as you can see, 31% are why update and 33% let's get started. So it's a nice division amongst you. Thank you so much for taking the time to complete that. Okay, let's get on with software and what is taking place here. I only have a couple of minutes left. So there's my polling questions for you. Let's take Excel. There's a new function in Excel called Ideas. You give it a blob of data, and it will give you charts and graphs and pivot tables to help you analyze looking for outliers or trends or whatever the data may be presenting. And it does it in a couple of minutes. Something that you need to be on the current version of Excel to use. First time I used this was in a class on internal controls. It was amazing. 35 options were presented to me using that out of a data set. and things that the group didn't see previous were brought to their attention. We do have Teams, a great collaboration tool from Microsoft. It is their fastest growing tool that they've ever had. And Microsoft is also going to be introducing search. This is going to be integrated into your Office applications. And the nice thing that it does is it gives us the ability to search right from within an app. So you're looking for an Excel table or something, you can do the search right within the app. If you're on Office 365, you can configure that today and use Bing search and see results for your Office. Do you get 2019 or Office 365? My opinion is quite simple. Office 365 does have ideas. It has some new data types in there. A new function called dynamic arrays is in there. And you get to install it on 5 computers that you use. I think it is the logical approach. If you're wondering if you're on Office 365 or not, you can find that out as soon as you start up Excel. There will be a couple of changes to the ribbon coming in 2019. It's going to be compressed down, so as you can see across here, it's a simple set of icons now instead of an entire ribbon. There is a button to give you the entire ribbon if you would prefer it that way. I'm concerned about ransomware. I trust you are as well. OneDrive has a new function called Known Folder Move, and it will take your pictures, documents, and desktop and store them in the cloud automatically for you. And when you're hit with ransomware, the mobile app will tell you so and ask you where you'd like to be rolled back to get those files back. G Suite, some nice improvements in here, including getting Drive Enterprise as a standalone offering. And I put in here a little chart about collaboration. And the top vendors in here are Microsoft, Box, Google, and Dropbox. And it really is time for you to move to a collaboration platform. It dramatically improves how things happen. A lot of material to cover in a short period of time. I have one polling question left for you. And that question is, how are you going to do collaboration in your own office? Have you started to look at any of these solutions? Do you think your collaboration works fine now? If you are using one of those solutions, if you could pick those, that would be great. I must say for us in K2, Teams has been a really great tool. Our communication, I feel, has improved quite a bit. While we're waiting for the last couple of people to vote there, we do offer a 2-hour webinar on Tech Update. I have a link there if you're interested in it. The 2-hour is fully verifiable and it's $79. Okay, that's 90% in the vote. You guys were quick today. Let's close that vote. We'll share the results. And as I do that, I'll pass it back over to Alan to introduce you to Damien from Receipt Bank. Thank you very much. Have yourselves a great rest of the session. Look forward to seeing you throughout the year. And once again, Happy New Year.
Great, Ward. Marilyn, can you do the handoff, please?
Alan and Ward, thank you very much, and ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year from ourselves at Receipt Bank. Delighted to talk you through a couple of initiatives that we think will make a significant difference coming into tax season, and we're very excited to share those with you. I'm actually going to hand over to my colleague, Andrea Ramsey. She's based in Toronto. She's sitting beside me here in Washington, D.C. today, but normally she's based in Toronto, so you'll notice a quite different accent coming online momentarily, but Andrea is going to take us through the first couple of initiatives that are going to help us get in shape for tax season, and then I'll come back to finish off as well. So Andrea, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Damien. So we've introduced ourselves, and what I'd like to do now is introduce Receipt Bank. So just a bit of information. We were founded in 2010 in the UK, and we've been working with accountants and bookkeepers since then across the globe. We currently have a partner network of about 35,000 accountants, bookkeepers, and tax professionals of all different sizes. So that ranges from sole proprietors to larger firms such as BDO, PwC, and Grant Thornton. Through our partners, we have a network of about 180,000 small to medium-sized businesses that are using Receipt Bank. So what we do here at Receipt Bank is process and prepare all the source documents that are associated with your client's expenses. And so last month, we actually processed more than 6.4 million documents. So that includes receipts, invoices, credit notes, check images, and even bank statements. So all of these documents are coming into Receipt Bank and are being processed on average in under 9 minutes. So what we're trying to do here is enable digital collection, organization, and data entry of clients' documents that are associated with their tax return or even with their monthly bookkeeping. So all the processing and preparation is taken care of by Receipt Bank, and all you have to do is simply do the review. So tax season is on our doorstep. It is fast approaching. And today, Damien and I are going to talk about the 4 main factors that are going to allow you to have your best tax season to date. So first and foremost, we have got to go paperless, and this is really going to enable real-time data collection and better document management. Secondly, we've got to go mobile. So this is where we use your client's #1 tool, which, believe it or not, is their smartphone, to implement these tools. Thirdly, we've got to look at the advantages of moving to a year-round service model and what that means for your practice. And lastly, we need to get marketing. So shifting some focus on your client's education and why that benefits not only your clients, but your practice as well. So going paperless, I mean, when we talk about going paperless, there are a couple different definitions of what that could mean. I've spoken with many firms and met with many firms in the past who say they're paperless, when really what's happening is they're allowing their clients to send in documents by email or to a file sharing system, maybe Dropbox, and the firm is then printing out these documents, taking the information on them and manually entering it into their general ledger or wherever that final destination is. And so the goal here is to be paperless all the way through this process. So first, we've got to digitize. We've got to enable your clients to submit their documents to you digitally in real time and to one centralized location so that you and your teammate all have access to this information. Next, we've got to automate, and this is where you can use Receipt Bank or tools like Receipt Bank to extract the data from these digital documents and have it prepared for you so that you simply have to review it before it's sent to its final destination, whether that be your general ledger or even an Excel file. Lastly, we've got to focus on paperless document management. So tools such as archives that store your documents for 10 years, such as what we have in Receipt Bank. These are totally filterable, searchable, secure, and downloadable, and really give you access to this data. It's right at your fingertips in real time. So how do we go paperless, and how does this really start? It really starts with instant document capture. So with our 4 collection methods, we also minimize the number of items that are lost and consequently expenses that may be missed. If these expenses aren't tracked correctly, if your clients aren't getting you the documents that you need, they're potentially paying more tax than they should be. So by making this as easy as possible for them, you're really able to maximize their business deductions and minimize their tax liability. So another benefit of instant document capture is the instant delivery of data into your firm. So throughout the course of the year, you can kind of monitor your client's activity and ensure that you're maintaining a good relationship with them. The last thing that you want to happen is to lose a client because you haven't been engaged with them throughout the course of the year. And last but certainly not least, paperless storage. Never underestimate the power of helping your clients clean up their own back office. So not only do we have great relationships and great reviews from our existing partners, a lot of the time our partners' clients are just as excited about Receipt Bank because their accountant or bookkeeper is really helping them to get out from under that paper mountain that they live under for about 12 months of the year. So it's a great way to add value to your service offering. So we've talked about going paperless. Next, we'll talk about going mobile and why that's so important. So how can you get your clients on board to go digital? The easiest way is to have them use their #1 tool, which is their smartphone. For your clients, it's really simple. For example, as our partner, you can invite them via text or email to download and start using the Receipt Bank app. You can send out our Receipt Bank welcome flyer, which explains kind of how Receipt Bank works and how to use it. The other thing that you can do is really make use of your clients' tax season visits, which are obviously coming up in the next few months. So if they haven't downloaded these applications or tools by the time that they do come in, make sure that they download it while they're with you. Then while you're together, you can really take first picture of your receipt using the app, make sure they're comfortable using it, and practice with a couple more documents. And by the time they leave their office, they're good to go. It's as simple as that. So we know you want to find ways to best and better serve your clients, and that brings us to our next point, communication. So it's important to have steady, consistent communication with your clients so that you can maintain and build on your relationship, which can be done through apps and tools like ReceiptBank. As a matter of fact, every week there are more than 3,000 messages that are sent between our partners and their clients. One of the biggest issues on closing books in a timely manner is the lack of consistent communication with your clients. So maybe in response to your questions, your clients can send you a text, they can send you an email, or they can give you a phone call. And you've got all of your answers in different places, which can be easily forgotten or missed. So by streamlining and centralizing the way that you communicate with your clients, you're able to really get the specific information that you need in a centralized location and ultimately close the books quicker and meet your deadlines. So we're going to do our first poll question here.
Marilyn, do you want to take over and ask the poll question of which apps do our current partners use?
Great, thanks for that opportunity. So folks, your screen should be blue and you should have a nice easy question. What apps do you use in your firm? And you get to choose all that apply. That could be QuickBooks Online, Payment Evolution, Pluto, ReceiptBank, or if you don't see an app that you're currently using there, then you'll select none of the above. It's a nice, easy question. We're already at 90%. Thanks, folks. I'm going to count you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm closing the poll. And I'm just going to quickly share the results. 23% of the folks on the call today are using QuickBooks Online, and a whopping 75% didn't see an app there on their screen. Carry on, Damien.
Yeah, and maybe, Marilyn, if we could get the attendees to share some of the apps that they are using. If they didn't see an app there, what apps are they using in their practice, in their business, as a part of the accounting or time capture, bill pay program? So back to Andrea.
Awesome. So very interesting. Now let's take a look at your current process map and really how we can better that. So when we look at the profile of your clients, they almost all have the same needs. You know, they need to pay their bills, they need to be integrated with the general ledger, payroll. And so it's really common, especially as new tools and technology are emerging in the market, that we create separate systems for each of these areas of our practice. So rather than creating a new ecosystem for each area, why not create a tech stack that really facilitates and streamlines your process? So there's no need for 5 different general ledgers because this can cause a lot of confusion and inhibit your firm's ability to scale. With multiple certifications, certain employees only having access to certain systems, and systems that really don't speak to each other, it can really get in the way of successful scalable growth. But by having a great tech stack with an integrated ecosystem, you can have both better scalability and better controls over your processes and systems. So fun fact, one of the biggest issues in small businesses today is time fraud. So people saying that they're working and really they're not even there. So T-Sheets is a great technology that uses facial recognition and can help eliminate this issue. With Pluto, bill payment is an absolute breeze. And so ReceiptBank can integrate seamlessly into applications like these, facilitating a single healthy ecosystem of tech tools that are going to empower your business. So let's take a look at a real life example. This is one of our partners, Murat Kurt. He started his practice in 2013. And he found that his capacity of clients that he was able to manage was 45. And this was because he was working off of a desktop-based system and paper-based documents. So Murat decided to switch up the way that he was running his practice and move to cloud-based technology and using digital data. So he found that he was saving so much time doing this as he was using these cloud-based tools to do more of the heavy lifting for him, that he invested the free time that he did gain back in his day into growing his business. So within 18 months, the number of clients that Murat was able to manage grew to 135. And he was spending less time than he did with 45 clients, but having tripled the business. So now you're familiar with kind of what we do. I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of how we do it. All right. So here you'll see the main portal to Receipt Bank. So when you as a partner log on, you'll have all of your clients listed out in this portal here. We're going to go ahead and click into Coco Cafe. And here you are going to see your client's inbox. So this is the centralized location that your clients send all of their documents into, or where these documents reside. So as I spoke a little bit about before, there are 4 different methods for your clients to get these documents to you. The first is through our mobile app. So they simply open the app, they take a photo, and that document is sent directly into Receipt Bank. The second is email into Receipt Bank. So when you set your client up, when you add a new client in, you would create a customized email address for that user, and they would be able to have receipts and invoices sent directly to this email address, or flip emails, maybe an Uber receipt that they get, forward here, and it would go right into the inbox. The third method is add items by upload. So this is where you can scan up to 50 receipts or invoices at a time. Simply drag and drop or upload them into this space here. And within Receipt Bank, the software will actually separate it out and do all of the data extraction for you. This is handy for your clients, also handy for you when you have clients that drop off those shoe boxes full of documents. Lastly, we've got Invoice Fetch. So this is where we integrate with different suppliers. It could be Hydro-Quebec. Amazon is definitely a big one. And what we do here is your client is able to choose a supplier. They simply click add with whoever they want to connect with, and they put in their credentials, click connect, and then we are able to proactively pull the invoices that are created on that vendor portal. And so all of these documents come into Receipt Bank and reside in this inbox. And this is where you can do the review of these documents. The data is already extracted, and get them over into your general ledger. So here we have an Uber receipt. So you can see on the left-hand side, we've got an image of the document. On the right-hand side, we've got all of the key fields, so the key information that we've pulled out of this document. You've got the date, the supplier, the currency, total amount, the taxes, your category, which would be be determined by the Charter of Accounts in your general ledger. And so what you do here, you can review the information and simply click Publish. When you do that, this document will go over into your general ledger. So here we see it going over into QuickBooks Online, which I saw in the poll many of you use. And then we would match up that document, that transaction, with the bank feed that you've got running in QuickBooks Online. It's as simple as that. As well, at the same time that that goes over into your general ledger, it also gets pushed into the archive. So here in the archive is where you are able to store these documents for 10 years. So CRA compliance requirement is actually 6. And you're able to search, filter, download whatever document you need, or a certain time frame with a certain vendor, whatever that looks like, and you can pull that out into an Excel or PDF file. So that is a quick overview of the Receipt Bank app. I'm going to hand it over to Damien to continue walking you through Tax Season Bootcamp.
Andrea, thank you so much. We'll get back into presentation mode there. I love the Murat Kurt story, that he was able to triple his client base while still remaining a sole practitioner, because he let the technology do the heavy lifting. And most importantly, he put the app, the mobile app that you can see in front of you, in his client's hands, so that the information could come into the firm throughout the course of the year, throughout the course of the month. That allowed him to work on his clients throughout the course of the year. And that is actually a perfect segue to the next initiative, where we're shifting to year-round service. I talk to a lot of accounting firms, and they only speak to their clients once, twice a year. And I find that surprising, because we worked so hard to get our clients. Why wouldn't we want to communicate with them, find additional opportunities to serve them throughout the course of the year, to make them more loyal to us, to increase the lifetime value? There's a massive case for MRR, which is monthly recurring revenue. First things first, it's consistent income and consistent cash flow for your firm. A lot of accounting firms, particularly if they're tax heavy, they'll see a lot of their income coming in at the first part of the year. So if we can spread out our cash flow throughout the course of the year, going to take a lot of stress off us as owners of the operation. The other aspect of monthly recurring revenue is that not only is the revenue recurring, but the workload's recurring. So it's the same consistent activities. And particularly when this tech stack that Andrea was talking about previously is put into place, the technology does the heavy lifting of that regular recurring activity. The collection, the organization, the document management, the data entry associated with time, payroll, debits and credits, that's taken care of, so we can better plan our capacity throughout the course of the year. And then last but not least, most importantly, is the enhanced client relationship. Now I have 4 touch points with my clients if I'm serving them quarterly, 12 touch points when I'm talking with my clients on a monthly basis. And the more often that I talk to my clients, the more often that I uncover things that are keeping them up at night. And provide opportunities for our firm to share with them how we can help them. Here's an example of how we've helped a number of our firms move from once a year self-employed tax return clients to regular recurring. So in this example, it was a once a year transaction, $700. Didn't know necessarily if that client was going to come back next year. We were pretty confident, maybe to an 80% confidence level, but we didn't necessarily know. So moving forward, all clients, all prospective clients coming in, their self-employed tax return starts at $99 a month. And for that $99 a month, they're going to get the individual return and self-employed filing. They're going to get the software, so Receipt Bank Self-Employed, because that's going to be the tool that's going to facilitate the flow of information. Some firms will bundle in something like MileIQ, for example, if they have a lot of mileage. As a result of using the tools, we can bundle in some audit and disaster protection planning. So in the event that the CRA or Revenue Quebec comes knocking, we will provide all of the information, the requested documentation within 24 hours. Because as Andrea showed you before, everything is at your fingertips in the archive that is filterable, searchable, and downloadable. Disaster protection, in the event of flood, theft, fire, we'll have your financial records back up and running within 24 hours. So the message here is we've got you back, and we'll look after the numbers while you look after your business, etc. And then last but not least, every single client has a year-end tax planning meeting. Why? First and foremost, to make sure we're doing everything that we can to minimize their tax liability. But secondly, it gives us another face-to-face opportunity to find out if there's things keeping that client up at night, additional areas that we can help them, where else can our expertise help that client build their business, be more financially secure, etc. So it's facilitating a face-to-face conversation with your clients. But what's happening now is our self-employed tax return coming in 70% higher than last year. And the nice thing is that whenever anyone picks up the phone and the question is how much for a self-employed tax return, whoever picks up the phone can respond with, well, it starts at $99. Do you have some time for us to ask a few questions and find out a little bit more about your situation? So it's a great way that we've shifted a once a year tax return to $99 monthly, regular recurring. And most importantly, we can see the client's activity throughout the course of the year. So we're not just, the first time we touch the client's data is not come tax time. Instead, we're seeing it flow throughout. Now, we talked about that tax planning meeting. Tremendous opportunity to talk about bookkeeping with that tech stack that Andrea was describing before. Tremendous opportunity to go to our clients and say, look, let us take care of the bookkeeping, which frees up resources to put back into your business. We can do it cheaper, better, faster. You might be interested in strategic planning, helping them understand what's going on in their business, what the actual P&L means, do some budgeting, do some forecasting, maybe just general ledger analysis, what happened this month compared to last month, maybe some what if we improve our debtor turn days, what if we improve our receivables, how does that impact our cash flow? These are all value-add activities that are going to, when we are able to sell them to our clients, increase their loyalty and increase their lifetime value. Mary Hollister, she's one of our partners, and she just says, if you want once off, not interested. But if you want to work with me in the collaborative environment year round and want real-time advice on the business, then I've always got room on my client list for you. Marilyn, might be time for a poll question. Could we ask the poll question with regards to marketing? How do attendees win their clients?
That's a great question, Damien. I'm just launching that poll now.
Yeah.
So, folks, when you think about gaining new clients, what's your best source? Is it referrals, online advertising, blog posts, or content that you create on the internet, networking events, or maybe you don't see your choice there? It's not applicable to you. Everyone is quick off the mark today, Damien. We're already at 90%.
Wow.
So,
your audience is much better than most of mine.
Thanks for that. I'm closing the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thanks, folks. We're going to share the results. No surprise there, 60% referrals. Best choice is a referral. I'll hand the comm back to you, Damien.
Thank you, Marilyn. Yeah, no surprises there whatsoever. So what we want to do is we want to enhance those referrals. So here are some of the best tax season marketing ideas that I've seen from our accounting partners around the country and around the world. First things first, automate meeting requests. We don't think this necessarily is a marketing activity, but think about the number of meetings that you're going to be having with your clients, and think about the frustrating process that typically happens when trying to schedule meetings. We send out three proposed dates. The client gets back to us in the evening when we're not in the office. We spend all this time back and forth trying to schedule a time. Instead, use something like Calendly or Schedule Once. That automates this process. So basically these tools integrate with your calendar. You can identify what times you want to make available for meetings, and then the clients can come on board onto Calendly and find the time that suits their schedule. When we talk about referrals, typically, because most clients wouldn't know a good P&L if it hit them in the head, they're referring a client experience in most cases. And so something like automating these meeting requests is going to dramatically enhance that client experience, which is going to enhance our referrals. We touched on audit and disaster protection. I've thrown in fraud protection. Let's talk to our clients about the additional benefits of the tools that we choose. Andrea used the example of time fraud with T-sheets. So the tools that you choose in this technology stack bring a tremendous number of benefits to our clients. So let's talk to our clients about that and bundle it in, because that's going to increase the perceived value of what you do. Educate, educate, educate. Most importantly, think about a frequently asked questions list. Think about what are the questions that come in from your clients this time of year. Why don't we get those questions together, get them on a frequently asked questions list, put it on our blog. Go on Facebook Live. I'm seeing a number of firms doing Facebook Live where they're answering these frequently asked questions. And the nice thing about that is your clients, your prospective clients, they can get answers to their questions when they're looking for them. And more often than not, they're looking for answers to those questions in the evenings and on the weekends. So something like a frequently asked questions blog post or a Facebook Live event, that's going to sit there. And certainly for ourselves, our Facebook Live posts, we get maybe 3 people show up for the actual live event, but by the end of the weekend, we've got about 3,000 and 4,000 views of that Facebook Live, because that's when people are getting the information that they're looking for. And then last but not least, implement a system that allows you to quote a price over the phone. I touched on that starts at $99 a month example. So look at a way in which you can implement a series of discovery questions to uncover what's happening in our client's business that will enable you to say, based on what you told me, the price would be $1,200. Would it be worthwhile scheduling some time to confirm that we have all the correct information before we get started? I can guarantee you that will differentiate yourself from 99% of the marketplace, and you won't necessarily get each and every one of those prospective clients to a meeting. And that's okay, because some people are just price shopping, but I will guarantee you that you will have a much more successful close rate on those meetings than the other ones. So there, folks, there's 5 of the best tax season marketing ideas. I hope 1 or 2 of them resonated with you. Check out Calendly. Once you get off today's call, obviously check out Receipt Bank, but check out Calendly. it will make a huge difference. Such a small thing, but makes a huge difference. That's it from me. Oh, actually, no, it's not. What I've got here is just, and now these will be in the slides, some of the questions that you can ask your clients to get them thinking about their business, to get them thinking about you as bit more than just the tax person or the bookkeeper. So is growth meeting your expectations? How do you feel about your profits? So use this as a bit of a prompt for yourself to make sure you start these conversations with these questions with your clients. Next tax season, it's got to be digitized, paperless, in as close to real time as possible. It's got to be automated, and it's got to be connected. And that's going to dramatically enhance your tax season. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn more, do a one-on-one consultation with Receipt Bank. Email andrea.ramsey@receiptbank.com and schedule a 30-minute consultation. We can do a deep dive into the product, answer your questions, show you the integration between QuickBooks Online or Xero or Sage, and then to say thank you for that time, because we know your time's valuable, we'll give you a Starbucks gift card valued at $100. So I hope we've piqued your interest. With 35,000 accountants and bookkeepers around the world, we're onto something good. So I hope that you can carve out a little bit of time for us to find out more. Marilyn, if it's possible, could we launch that final poll question just to get a sense of people wanting to learn more?
Absolutely, Damien. We're just going to close out, folks, with one more poll. Given all the great things that you've seen and heard today about improving your practice, we'd just like to get a feel for how interested you might be in Receipt Bank's Accounting Partner Program. I and Ward and many of you share the experience that he described of starting a practice with pen and paper, and the paper, as I recall, was green. So we don't use that anymore, and we've got lots of technologies to help practitioners be more efficient. So we're getting lots of responses there and lots of questions, folks. Thank you so much. You've been sending me lots of questions for Receipt Bank, so those will all be bundled up, sent over to Damien and Andrea, and they'll get us the answers, which you'll receive in 10 days. So I'm going to be closing the poll, folks, in about 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's just close the poll and show the results. Oh, we've got a wide range there. 3% of folks are already partners. That's great. And lots of interest. Thanks again for your time today, Damien and Andrea.
Thank you very much.
So that's it for our first, I should say, webinar of the new year. I want to thank Marilyn, Ward, and the Receipt Bank team for their presentations. So I'll look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks when I will be back in the saddle. That's a wrap.